sports tonight to talk about.
I know we had such a hard time finding enough to talk about tonight.
You know, it was one of those. I mean, there's enough to carry through probably 2 shows tonight. You know, we've got the last week of football, of high school football for the year. We started talking about this way back in July, and we blink, and here we are.
Yeah. Goes fast. 15 weeks, 16 weeks goes real quick.
Goes really quick. And you're down to how many games total?
There's 8 games.
8 games, so 16 teams.
Right.
Through all classifications.
Yep.
That are left.
That's the way it goes.
Yeah,
6 in the public and 2 in the private. Now, the privates had bye weeks last week because they don't have quite enough teams to fill a full 16 weeks. So they all had a bye week last week, and they'll play their state championships. Actually, Northport Academy and St. George's started today at 3 p.m.
And I actually have a score on that one.
Yeah, I hadn't looked yet. So
let's get the call coming in here. Young Good Sports.
Good evening, Good Sports.
Good evening, sir. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I did, really. Fast Eddie brought me a plate, and my sister and then my brother went to Dairy Cream. They brought me a plate. I ate so much I got sick.
Yeah.
Well, that's easy to do at this time of year.
What are you guys going to talk about first?
Oh, gosh. I guess, you know, since we were out last week, I guess we go ahead. NASCAR has a champion.
Yep, NASCAR. Kyle Busch pulls it through and wins.
Kyle Busch, he actually, I think he done a good job. He missed 11 races and he had a broken leg, I think, and he won that championship. I give him credit.
I got to give him a lot of credit because he was given a path that was not an easy path. The win one race for him was not that difficult, but getting himself back in the top 30 in points in that short a time was not all that easy of a feat.
Yeah. I think we're losing one. Jeff Gordon, I think he's going in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, he's announced his retirement back last January, and he's following through and headed for that great beyond in the booth and announcing. And
really?
The fact that he actually got into the Final Four of the chase and had a shot to win the chase, which would have been a great story if he had, was pretty good himself.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I think there's going to be a lot of changes in the pits, Chiefs, so I think there are going to be some changes. I think some of them are, I can't remember who's leaving. I can hear you guys now. I was in this traffic while ago. I'm heading home, and I can hear you.
We thought you was calling from the laundromat inside the washer there, Bullet.
No, these cars run beside us.
Well, you know, Tony Stewart's going to have a new crew chief. Danica Patrick's got a new crew chief coming in. Michael Waltrip Racing has gone into La La Land. They are no more, and there's going to be some more movement before it's over with. And Furniture Row Racing looks like they're going to be adding some teams to their operation instead of just a one-car shop. So there's going to be a lot of movement there.
You know, I think Danica ought to paint the side of her car, the right side of her car. Just go ahead and paint it solid gray or white, off-white, you know, just to go ahead and, you know.
Tommy, be nice.
No, I guess we'll start rooting for Chase Elliott. He's going to take Gordon's place.
Yeah, and, you know, we kind of talked about that, some of us the other night, and was trying to decide, is he going to stay with the 24 or will they move to the number 9 or what? But right now, everything looks to be pointing that they're going to stay with the number 24 on that car, but I could see the 9 on there too.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if they retired. Actually retired Dale Senior's number for a while there, and now they're using it back.
No, NASCAR doesn't retire numbers at all. The reason that the 3 car was not on the track for so long because Richard Childress kept control of that number and just didn't put it on anything.
Not sure. Guys, I want to jump ahead a little bit. I'm gonna pick a score for you guys. I'm gonna pick Alabama over Florida.
By whatever they want.
Yeah.
That's my feeling on that deal.
And but now I think Clemson's number 1, aren't they?
Clemson is ranked number 1 right now. Alabama number 2. That's going to be interesting this weekend because Alabama's going to win that pretty handily. I think Clemson's going to win pretty handily. But now the other two, that could get a little bit more questioning right there.
And you guys, I hate to keep on switching back and forth, but I'll just try to get my little minutes in here. But I hated that Ray County didn't make it. They had a good season, but they got beat last week, I believe.
Yeah, they got beat by Sevier County. The Sevier County quarterback, who's a signee of Vanderbilt, threw 6 touchdown passes in that ball game.
Yeah, he is. And anyway, guys, I'm gonna go on my place here and listen to you guys. I just thought I'd call you, and I appreciate you and Tommy.
Well, we appreciate it, and I'm glad you had a lot to eat and filled your belly, and you're out of the hospital now, and we're.
Well, I had to take a lot of Alka-Seltz.
Yeah.
But guys, it's good talking to you.
All right, we'll talk at you soon. So, NASCAR put that season to bed.
Put it to bed. It's over with. They got a few little details yet, handing out some trophies and awards and stuff to go through. But
and I think that we're gonna go over our high school picks, of course, and I think we should go ahead and get that out of the way. I don't think we'll spend as much time on it. Since there's no local teams, there's nobody. I mean, the closest team to us is Maryville?
No, Marion County's probably closer.
You think so?
Yeah.
I guess so. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just depends.
Depends on which way you go.
As the crow flies,
As the crow flies. That's right. But we'll still go over those games a little bit for you. I think Ron's pretty much clinched. Well, with eight games, he'd have to go 0-8.
Yeah, pretty much.
He'd have to go 0-8.
For you to get him, he's got 143 wins, and you're second with 137 wins.
Yeah.
The most important stat to try to come up with is it mathematically impossible for me to finish in last place? I thought I bought a 3-game lead on one of the poor souls.
You got a 2-game lead.
2.
And so,
Travis is coming in at 123 wins. You've got 125 wins, Doc.
Ooh.
Then Bryson is next at 128 wins. Danny and Dustin are tied in 5th with 132 wins. I'm stuck at 4th with 135 wins.
I think I gained some ground on you, sir.
And Tommy and Brian are tied at 137 wins, and Ron's got 143 wins on the season. So
depending on how we picked, how the picks play out, we could end up a 3-way tie for second. That's potential. So I mean, we're all fighting for second place. Ron is pretty much in the winner's circle, and we're trying to get the bronze, the gold, and the silver and the bronze.
All straightened out.
Yeah.
What is our award here? What do we get?
We need to get an award for this. I mean, we've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now.
I saw that turkey award you had. We might.
Yeah, we won't get into that.
That's one of the most well-deserved, and I just happened to turn that on the other day, go on my way home, and that call was on the radio.
That's only the second time I've called them since July the 12th of 2013.
Really?
Now, I've listened a lot. Yeah, there's kind of a reason for that, but only the second call I've made live into that show. In fact, one of them was only earlier this year driving to a Bear game. But glad you caught that. Was I making any sense?
Oh yeah, and I got to say though, Doc, with all due respect, that award for 2005, and I can't believe it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, and that's 4 or 5 years before I even knew you, but I remember hearing about it.
Really?
Yes, I do. It was well deserved.
I appreciate that.
It was well deserved. You got that award, and that one goes on the mantle, and you earned that one.
Yeah, final score, it was a 20-point victory for Doc here. Doc 23, Witchman 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Good stuff. But
glad you was able.
It's all fun though.
Absolutely, and those guys do a good job for the most part.
Now I'll wear them out on the red zone. I think I probably hold a record for more calls in the last 15 years, because if you're averaging 3 to 4 calls a night, 3 for a 12-week season, see, that's that's 30 calls.
Yeah.
Net 30 calls for a 10-year period. 300 calls into that thing.
Yep.
You know, there's some of them. There used to be a bunch of them on that thing, and I know we're kind of talking in between us here, but a bunch of people just dropped off. There used to be people that were on there every week: son-in-law, brother-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law. I mean, all these people. And I've been fortunate to be part of that thing. They haven't ran me off because I you know, sometimes there's a pop top prior to getting on that thing late at night, and I stretch the truth and plain old make some stuff up. But they've been good for me, good to let me pop on there on that red zone thing.
Yeah. So let's just jump in there right now, right quick, and we'll hit the first game, 3:00 today. We'll go through our picks, and then I'll give the score of what's going on in that game.
Yeah, be interesting. We'll get an early feel about where we are.
Yeah, I'm over here hanging on to my 2-game lead.
Yeah. St. George's is listed as the home team against North Point Academy. Got to be two very small schools, like Doc said. I think he said it off the air, but I've never heard of them either.
No, I wouldn't.
I had St. George's in that one.
And you know, my philosophy, there's really no true home teams in this thing. But I just went with the philosophy, whoever the at was, so that's kind of spilled the beans or the verses.
Yeah.
You know, the second. So Doc, St. George's, obviously.
You might as well ring the bell on this one because I think everybody took St. George's.
Do they just sound meaner or what?
I don't know, but the interesting thing about this, when I looked this up today, North Point is scoring 38 points a game and giving up 12. St. George is scoring 40 points a game and giving up 11.
And with 12 minutes to go in the game, just starting the fourth quarter. Now, hold on. You said St. George is averaging what?
40 points a ball game, giving up 11, and North Point was scoring 38 and giving up 12.
Have there ever been any more evenly matched teams?
There's a few of them.
Actually, this game is going just like St. George normally goes.
Oh,
36 with 3/4 in the books. 36-14.
Okay.
Go George.
Yeah.
Go
Jorge.
Send him a Christmas card. Maybe keep me out of the bottom of the barrel here this year.
So, next up, this definitely one of the better ball games that's going to be played this weekend. MBA, Montgomery Bell Academy, against Brentwood Academy. Both teams are 11-1. I didn't have a chance to put down, take as many notes as I normally do, but I looked at this one. I like Brentwood in the game.
What is the Brentwood Eagles?
I'm not even sure.
With long time coach Carlton Flatt.
Carlton Flatt.
2 D1 signees. I think one to Tennessee and one to Ole Miss lineman.
Yeah.
Brentwood Academy there, just on reputation. I know NBA seems to have this reputation of just coming out of nowhere and shocking teams, and just for no other reason than on reputation. Doc's going to Brentwood.
Well, this is an interesting matchup because it's the second time around for these two.
Okay.
They've only played once this year. Brentwood's only loss was to Trinity, Kentucky. They lost 31-13.
Really, though? So Brentwood got through that thing with a 1-loss year.
Yeah, 1-loss year. NBA got through the year with a 1-loss year. They lost to Brentwood Academy.
And it wasn't close.
No, October 9th, 48-14.
You know, I don't put a lot of stock in that thing of it's hard to beat a team twice. I just don't have any.
If it's a close game, if that first game was close one, then I'm.
You're 3 points, 7 points. Where's your limit?
Yeah, it really don't have to be a point limit. It's if a team wins by 10 at home, but then I see a trend of they've been scoring less lately where the other team's been blowing teams out. That's where I'll look at things a lot. Looking at this one, if NBA was 37 points or 34 points better 9 weeks ago or whatever, I tend to think that they're going to be better again. That's the way I look at it. A blowout, blowouts can be fluky sometimes, but most of the time it tells a story.
In this case, I think it pretty well tells the story. Brentwood scoring 41 points a game, giving up 12. NBA scoring 37 points a game and giving up 19. But you can ring the bell because everybody picked Brentwood Academy.
Quick trivia ad, and I'll be quiet here on this. Do you know who Brentwood Academy played in the Clinic Bowl at Murfreesboro, 1982. Final score 7-0.
Oh, that would have been Cleveland High School.
Cleveland High School. I was at that game.
Yeah, I actually watched that. That was one of the first games they televised.
Really?
I got to watch that on TV.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting. It may have had something to do with somebody around here. I don't know at that time. But anyway, yeah, at that game, cold game. But game was played between the 40s, and then Brentwood threw one long bomb and got down to about the 2-yard line. The defensive end, I remember his name. I won't call it out for Cleveland. Was jockstrap still laying there somewhere on the field, and the quarterback just snuck right around the end. That was the only score of the whole game. It was Buck Rogers, Buck, whatever his name was, Buck for Cleveland, and yeah, it was Bradley man, but glad to get to go and experience that atmosphere.
Yep. So we rung the bell on that one. So we've got 3 bell ringers so far, or 2 bell ringers so far.
2 bell ringers so far.
Out of 2 games.
2 bell ringers.
Well, which is good for you, Doc, because that means you've got, and that's good for me too. I mean, I'm staying tied for second.
I could be guaranteed not being in last place before we walk out of this room.
You could be.
I could be. I might sleep good tonight.
Next up, we got Nashville Christian and Greenback. Nashville Christian's 13-1, Greenback's 12-2. When you're talking about records like this, and you're talking about teams that are, don't play in the same area, there's really not a whole lot of difference when you just look at the records at 12-2, 13-1. You got to look deeper into the numbers. I think you probably got some numbers there for us.
Yeah, Greenback is had a good season, but they're averaging 32 points a ball game, but giving up 14.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good margin of victory.
Yeah.
Nashville Christian is doing 43 points a game and giving up 10.
Yeah. And based on that, I'm going with Nashville Christian.
Doc's already, dug his own hole here with Greenback there. I just
maybe not.
I don't know. That Greenback's good.
Yeah, they've had a good year, and they, so whenever they're like that, it don't always play out the way you think it is.
Greenback, isn't that location up short of Knoxville, short of Maryville area?
It's over to the east of Loudon.
Yeah. So so you're right. Yeah,
it's off on 411.
Yeah. I remember driving through there at 411.
I'm going to drive Brian crazy. I'm going to drive Brian crazy because I know where the school is.
So who you got in that one?
Oh, let's see. Well, Ron is taking Nashville Christian. Dustin is taking Nashville Christian. I'm taking Nashville Christian. Brian's taking Nashville Christian, but Danny and Bryson are going to jump over there on Greenback with Doc. So he's not out there on the.
You're not
on that
now. That'll either push you further ahead, Travis, or it'll drop you back one.
Oh, right now go Greenback.
Next up,
a little star beside that one.
The Certified Public Accountants.
Dewey, Scrum, and Hal.
Yeah. That's actually CPA. 13-1 versus Alcoa. Alcoa, and I looked, and CPA doesn't stand for Maryville. So based on that, I went with Alcoa because Alcoa doesn't lose to anybody but Maryville.
Yeah.
There's some logic to that one.
Even past here, do we ring the bell?
Alcoa's only loss was to Maryville, 20-14. Their average score was 38-7 on the season.
Heavens.
CPA only lost to Innsworth, and their average score was 37-15. You'd think this might be a pretty good ball game, but I don't think so. I think Alcoa rolls away with it, and so does everybody else.
I thought about this earlier in the day, that if there's any way to look up, what is it? There's got to be a glaring statistic besides the offense and defensive points for, points against. Is it penalties? Is it something these two teams have in the discipline department that stands out among all these other teams? And
I can point it out in one word. One word. Discipline.
Just discipline itself.
Just discipline.
I was gonna say depth.
They don't make mistakes.
So it's so we would see a glaring difference between a high school team with an average record versus these two in lack of penalties.
Not necessarily penalties,
but just different.
Just not making mistakes, blocking who you're supposed to block, doing what you're supposed to do on every single play.
Mm-hmm. And that goes back to something that Ron's talked, alluded to several times when he's been on the show. When you're talking about Alcoa, he said he's watched their practice or heard the coach, and each player from the best on the team to the worst on the team, they get the same amount of snaps in practice. Now, if you do that,
yeah, I remember.
You're on Good Sports.
Yeah, I got a question for Doc. Did you watch that championship game, Doc, when up in Cleveland High School won their first state championship when they beat Brentwood?
Yeah, I was at two of those three games. I was at the first one, the Brentwood game. It was like 26-22.
26-21.
The second one was like 7-6. I think it was decided on a missed extra point. And I was at the third one. It was a Haywood County rematch, I believe.
Well, actually, Lex beat them twice.
Yeah, 2 years somehow in there. Haywood County. My memories of that game, Bullet, was Haywood County was big. They had size on them, and I thought they're going to just mush Cleveland, and that was not the case. They were big and slow. They had a good running back, but the Cleveland managed to get them. That game, the only one I missed was a 7-6 game.
Yeah, that was the 94 game.
Yeah, that Brentwood game there, it was very exciting. Came down, it was, as you recall, there was a reserve quarterback in for the last 5 games. From the 5th game on that year, Cleveland High School had a reserve quarterback in, and threw some key passes there late in the game, and eventually threw a goal line pass, and the wide receiver, running back one, caught the ball, was hit, went up in the air, and he recouped it and went in the end zone. It was an incredible play.
You know the player that won that game for him, don't you, Doc?
It was one of those Cowboys, right?
Yeah, he actually caught a pass and fell in back.
Yeah, that's what I was referred to, yeah.
I'm actually watching one of the championship games on now. It's 43-14 on TV.
Yeah, it was St. George's.
Go George.
Well, the reason I called in, Doc, I didn't talk about you all. I didn't know you was there. I was saying I appreciate Tommy and Arnold, so I'm gonna say I also appreciate you too.
I appreciate them letting me up. I've been on about a 5 or 6 week hiatus. The salt mines had me covered up. We've had orders from all over Green's Earth here, so
hey, gotta have the salt.
Now it's actually 50-14 now. Yeah, so St. George is gonna win this state championship game.
George ain't letting off the gas.
No, yeah. Well, guys, appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Margaritas don't salt themselves, do they? You got to have Doc there to.
Yeah, we
pour it on.
Stopped in at the Dewdrop Inn there last night. I think I found my receipt in my watch pocket here, so I guess that means I got the same pants on 2 days in a row, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's what jeans are for. You're supposed to wear them a couple of times before. If you wash them every time, then
But Tommy went up and watched Maryville.
No, I didn't.
You didn't make.
I didn't make the trip.
Okay. You watch Maryville play Saturday night when it's televised, and you're going to see a team that does not make mistakes. It's just so impressive how they play.
Playing with a backup quarterback, right? About the same.
Freshman.
Right.
Backup quarterback.
Original quarterback lasted 4 or 5 games, suspended off the team, out of school, whatever.
It's suspended off the team for legal reasons, really.
Yeah.
He got in trouble. And Coach Quarles kicked him off the team, along with a starting safety. Kicked 2 of them off the team,
2 starters.
Put their reserves in, and didn't miss a beat.
Scores don't change. I mean, and that's, I mean, they're winning by just as much as they did before. You're talking about 2 key players.
Yeah, we've been on Maryville the kick here. I see Quarles. I see these interviews with him. I see his demeanor on the sideline. It's just like walk in the park. I don't see him getting on anybody's case. It's like, it seemed like with a team like this, you'd be getting in somebody's face and all. See, none of that.
Very professional. I mean, just a very
You got his
business-like approach.
last one I saw last year's state championship final. Yeah, he was really cool.
All right.
But that's just the way they play up there. Alcoa is the same way. You go watch them; they don't make mistakes.
Plus, they're drinking that Oak Ridge water too.
Yeah,
and
that might help.
That's where their line gets so big.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. No, they've got good size. They got good players. Not that many spectacular players, but good players, and they play their positions well. And they just don't make mistakes. They block who they're supposed to block.
One thing I'd be interested in seeing, as far as feeder schools, I mean, that's big in. I mean, when you look here,
Maryville has one feeder school. It's a middle school, and they run the same exact plays, the same way Cleveland did when they was
right in
the 90s.
And also the players play together from the time they're 6th grade all the way up.
Yeah.
Here you've got kids that go in every direction.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't tell me that they've got better athletes up there than here. I mean, that many, because you don't see very many from Maryville go to a big school.
No. I guess the latest one that you really know anything about is Patton Robinette.
Mm-hmm.
But not really. It's just a good, solid football team. Alcoa's the same way.
A good, solid football program.
Yeah.
And, so we've sung their praises for months, for the last several years. But I mean, when they don't lose, what can you say about them? I mean, it's hard.
I've got a couple of things I'll say for them here when we get down to that game that'll kind of get some people's attention.
So everybody took Alcoa.
Everybody took Alcoa.
So I'm still good. I'm only one to the question mark.
Right.
Let me make a little mark up here.
Now this one's going to be a tough game, and I had a problem picking this one. Independence at 14-0, Sevier County 12-2. Where is Independence? They're free. I know they're free, but
Philadelphia.
No, I don't even know. It's a fairly new school.
Shazam!
I know. I hadn't even looked it up. I
didn't know they were undefeated, but I just know that Sevier County, they just seem in late in years are awful tough.
I went with Independence on this one, and I guess that 14-0 just made was just glamorous to me, I guess. So
I would have probably picked it myself.
Well,
no doubt.
but I think you've got a good pick. I think this game is going to be a toss up. You got Sevier County that they beat Cleveland to start out the year.
Yeah.
Then they beat Ray County to go into the finals. So I mean they've taken care of our local teams, our fairly local teams. But I like Independence in this one, and don't really know why.
Just going with that gut feel there, Sevier County Smoky Bears, I guess.
Yeah.
Being tough.
Well, Danny and Bryson are joining you over there.
So
the rest of us are going with Independence.
So I'm up to a 2 question mark.
Yeah. You could potentially be tied. Or
Independence is 14-0 versus Sevier 12-2. Independence beat Centennial twice this year, and that is the only team that's beaten Ravenwood, which is playing Maryville in the state championship. Independence average score is 42-11. Sevier County average score was 38-19, but they lost to Dobbins Bennett and Oak Ridge. Oak Ridge is a good football team. Dobbins Bennett really trailed off. They was a joke on a high team, but I'm taking Independence in this one. Another interesting aside. When you look at the power rankings, there's 3 top teams in the state of Tennessee, 3 number 1 teams in divisions: Brentwood Academy, Independence, and Maryville. Guess which is the lowest one in the power rankings of the 3? Nope.
Maryville?
Maryville is the lowest numerical number in the power rankings. Brentwood Academy and Independence all both above them.
Interesting.
Next up, another tough game I had a problem with. Trezevant at Marion County. Well, against Marion County, and Marion County is listed as the home team. Marion's 13-1, Trezevant 11-3, and this was one of those I just went with a gut, and went opposite of where I thought I would. Went with Trezevant. Not really sure why.
Well, you might be onto something right there. Because everybody else on my side of the table is going with Marion County. Trezevant has been beating people 32-12. Marion County's average score is 44-13. Lost to Boyd Buchanan, which is their only loss of the year, but they beat Tyner twice to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So, the rest of us taking Marion County, but you're going to go with Trezevant. You get a shot there to sneak up on us.
Or to drop one back.
Yeah.
All right.
That's the first one that you and me differed on, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I've still got a potential one-game lead on you.
You got a one-game lead on me.
Doc, I get mine in there and go to
Patrick, Doc, Patrick.
Yeah.
We just
I thought at
silently
first
met.
thought he was a repairman had made a miraculous red-eye flight in 7 minutes from Hickson to Whoop Studios because the thing's acting up over there. But
I was going to call in and tell y'all that on my way.
you know how to fix the thing over here.
I can stare at it and nod.
Yeah, I've done about all I need to do. I think, we're all good. So everything's cool. But Marion County here for the Doc.
What do you think about that one?
Marion County and
Trezevant.
I don't know enough about Trezevant, but when's the last time Marion County won a state title?
It's not been that long.
It hasn't been that long. Oh, no. Oh no, I know. I mean, I just curious.
90, 94, 95, and I think it's 96 is Marion County State Championships.
Okay, I remember the Eric Westmoreland.
Yeah.
They won those state titles, but I didn't know if they've won one since.
I
But
think he wore number 42.
Yeah, I think that was in the I saw that in the paper this morning.
he won number 42 for Tennessee. He wore number 5 for Marion County.
Good
'Cause I actually
memory
got to go. I actually got to go watch him play a few times.
I actually was at one of those games, the state finals, when he came running down the field, a long run. I was right there in the end zone, close to it there. I can't remember if it was Nashville or Vanderbilt.
Yeah. I got to watch him play a couple of times against Sequatchie County when they were rivals. They still might be.
Very good. I think I'm going to switch places. You guys keep giving you the guillotine here, or the whatever. That way y'all be shorter there.
Okay.
All right. No pause for the calls here.
We can keep on going while y'all are playing musical chairs. Pearl Cone, 10-4. Versus Knox Catholic, 10-4. Thought this one was a tough one to pick.
Very tough.
And I looked at the scores and just kind of felt Knox Catholic.
Okay.
I'll go Knox Catholic. I don't have a dog in the fight as far as the pick'ems go, but I'll throw in Knox Catholic.
Going with the Catholics there on this one. Just for no other reason, it was the versus the bottom team there.
Well,
Doc here.
it's not a bell ringer.
Ah,
Brian and I are both going with Pearl Con. And
yeah.
everybody else is going with Knox Catholic.
So you and me could end up tied.
That's exactly right.
You have a reputation for picking the home team.
Yeah. It's,
How are you adjusting here?
He didn't. If it said he was the next.
at or versus, I was all over it. It's been a benefit there. I had 2 or 3 10-2 weeks with a majority of that philosophy, and
He's the only one of us in 5 years to go back-to-back 12-0 weeks,
Wow.
and he did it with his philosophy there.
and it came down to a missed extra point by the high school not very close to the little Hollywood Hickson High School, missed an extra point, and I think the final score was 20-19, or maybe it's 20-21, something like that. They lost the playoffs to propel me to 12-0 that second time.
And here's probably our last bell ringer of the year. Maryville, 14-0, 80-something-2 since 2010.
Goodness.
Hadn't lost at home since.
Carter was president.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. at 13-1 Ravenwood. How can you pick against Maryville? I don't care how good Ravenwood is. How can you pick against them?
When was the last time Maryville won a state title? I'm kidding.
364 days ago, actually.
Well, am I mistaken? Is that not who they played for the finals last year? Or was it Blackwood? Ravenwood, Blackwood?
Ravenwood was who they played last year. This is a
Okay.
rematch.
If you recall, Ravenwood actually went up late, but the play was called back due to the old infamous man off the line. And I don't understand that rule. Or not enough men on the line or too many men in the backfield. You're talking a infraction that did not. It was on the other side of the field. The court. It was about 18-yard throw. The guy went in the end zone, caught it, and the referee threw a flag.
Yeah.
Yeah, or that would have stopped Maryville's streak right there.
Exactly.
But I ain't no fool. I'm going with Maryville.
Well, I'm going with Maryville. Danny's going with Maryville. Bryson is going with Maryville.
Uh-oh.
Did I say Brian going with Maryville? I think I said Brian going. Brian is going to Maryville. I'm going with Maryville. Dustin has nothing to lose, is going for the upset of the year.
No.
And is taking Ravenwood.
All right.
So that's it. It's come down to that.
That's playing the game.
That's who I'm against, or
No, I thought it was Travis.
That's playing the pick'em game. Everybody goes to Maryville. You're that guy that, goes to the other.
and-
You have
and-
nothing to
as-
lose.
as
I like the
Doc's-
strategy.
And as Doc said last year, it was a penalty that Ravenwood lost the game on.
It was seemed like it was under 2 minutes when they
Oh
scored.
yeah, it
went in.
was. It was very late in the ball game. But Ravenwood only lost to Centennial this year, 30-13. Their average score is 37-13 on the season. Maryville's average score is 41-10 on the season. They're ranked 19th in the United States by Max Preps, 10 state championships, and their record in the state playoffs is 45-3. So you couple that
That's incredible.
with a string of wins from 2004 till 2008 of 74 straight ball games won. Then they had one where they had 17 straight. They had another one which was 13 straight. And I think right now they're in excess of 55 straight in this string.
Good heavens.
Any chance George Quarles takes any of these potential assistant coach openings?
They actually have tried to suggest the idea of him taking the Tennessee job back a few years ago.
Yeah, that's a very common rumor. It's almost as common as John Gruden.
Yeah, really.
Well, John Gruden does have family in East Tennessee and owns some property.
Which is crazy because so is George Quarles.
And every time you see a Tennessee coaching, well, he wore an orange tie on Sunday Night Football.
Oh, my
so
I remember one time he said Eric Berry from Tennessee, and I mean Twitter lit up.
yeah.
I mean it was crazy.
So, well, normally we're done, I guess, talking about high school football, and normally we would talk college football, but there's really not a whole lot going on right now.
Oh, we're going to just end the show?
So, I mean, yeah, so we'll just end it, I guess. No,
Well, I could throw in a little bit of basketball here.
yeah, we could throw it in a little bit.
Basketball season, high school wise, has started.
Yes.
Bradley Central boys are 1-3 on the season starting out. Walker Valley boys are 4-2. Cleveland High boys are 1-0. Only have played one game. Put a beating on Ray County.
Rahia.
The Bradley Central girls are 5-2. Walker Valley girls are 1-5, and Cleveland High girls are 1-4. Tomorrow night, Bradley renews an old rivalry. They play McMinn County at Jim Smitty Arena, and Cleveland goes up and plays Walker Valley tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm.
So
Really?
Yes.
So if you're a basketball fan, there's a couple of good places to go tomorrow night to catch some good basketball.
You might have a tough choice depending on. I mean,
Yeah.
'cause you got some good matchups.
Yeah. Always love those. I don't care what they're playing. Bradley and McMinn, when those two get together, it's just a scrappy game.
Oh,
yeah.
it is.
I mean, it doesn't matter what sport it is. I mean, you could throw a couple of, you could throw chessboard out.
Win-loss records thrown out the window. I mean, it's a very they're usually very physical games. Crowds are into it. It's just a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Has
So
McMahon got anybody on their roster last name of Arwine?
Well, they have for the last 37 years, I think. So,
Wasn't the same guy right for 30 years.
no, it was a different
It's
one.
like the R. Wines and the Copelands are running a race.
Yes.
See how many kids, see if they can dominate a school or not.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, they got that. And I was looking at Tennessee Christian schedule. They play at Maryville Christian tomorrow night. They don't actually play a home game until January the 7th. Their first, they only play four games and in a tournament.
Yeah.
But 5 games in a tournament. But then they play at home against Copper Basin. And we've been talking about possibly trying to do one of their games in basketball.
Yeah.
If we can get some better equipment to where, some noise canceling equipment better.
And
It didn't work too well last time.
where
so-
the producer over here can hear the girl hunting for 72 cents in her in a rabbit's foot in her wallet for a snow cone for 45 minutes. Did she ever get the snow cone?
I don't know if she ever got the snow cone or not, but
Better that I can hear the commentators.
Yeah.
but the producer, I knew it was bad whenever my wife sent me a text message that she was picking it up on the iPad, watching it on the iPad, and we needed to check on our producer here because he looked like he was trying to cut his wrist. So
Yeah.
maybe next time we go out and play,
Well,
we take
just-
him with us.
We just fit in with what the slogan here is in competent radio.
That's right. Hey, you get what you pay for, right?
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So,
Well, we still got some compliments from some of the folks up there. That's
just showing up
just
and
the
doing
fact that we showed up and did something, and one of them was very complimentary. He actually heard some of the game on the way up on the radio,
Very good.
and they.
And I think he was the guy
tickled.
that gave the girl the other
Probably what I
72
think he
cents.
was.
Here, just
Yeah.
go get your darn snow cone.
Of course, I made my contemporaneous notes, and they're actually plastered out here in the Wook Museum up on the wall, the final score there. And it was a close game. I mean, it was.
Yeah, 20-19. It was a
Yeah,
good football
As the
game.
game went on, it was harder for me to even hear anything, and I was like sitting on my head, hey, this thing is good. 20-19 came down to just, it was a nail biter there at the end.
And when you look at the Tennessee Christian basketball roster, Luke Benton,
Yeah, that's a familiar name.
that was a quarterback.
That was quarterback.
Jamie Billup, I
He
believe
was a running back and safety and
Yeah.
linebacker.
You got, I think, Robbie Davis. He was.
Yeah, he was.
Rashad Marshall.
Yeah. I remember that name a few times.
The other seniors on the team, Andy Chase,
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Armio.
Is it Armeo? Is it spelled R-A-M-A-O?
Yeah, it's Armeo.
It's Armeo.
So,
I think I know.
do you?
I think I know some of his family.
Well, best of luck for Tennessee Christian. They'll have to try to keep up with their scores a little bit here. And
Yeah, we definitely
Keep
will.
track of
And Coach Frank Walker, that's their head coach, his third year at TCPS. Originally from here, graduated from Bradley, played his college basketball at Lee, graduated in 2003, played in the NAIA national tournament in 2002 and 2003. So
Frank Walker graduated in 98.
I'm not really
Yeah,
sure.
I think he graduated a year after I did. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So
good guy.
So local ties, if the other games don't interest you, whenever it rolls around, go over to TCPS and catch a game.
Yeah.
And like I said, if we can get some better equipment, I'm working with the station manager trying to see if we can do that,
yeah,
and maybe we can do another game.
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to.
I think we kind of get the bugs worked out. If they can find somebody that can be at the games all the time, that'd be a terrific little addition to what's going on here.
So
Tell me this, I had a thought here that somebody told me that the length of the gym at this Tennessee Christian is not regulation. Any truth to that?
I would think it would be because it used to be a small college.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. Not it wouldn't be.
Pretty good. Of course, like the North Lees, the Black Foxes. Remember those gyms weren't. I was told fairly good source that's what it is over there.
Yeah, but that was the old Thomason
Thomason
College.
College. That was the
Yeah.
Church of God of Prophecy College.
So I would think that the gym would have to be.
I would think that it would be regulation size.
I mean, I've seen smaller gyms. I mean,
Turtle
Oh,
Tail.
you've been in the gym proper?
yeah. It's,
So you take it as regulation?
I mean,
94
I
feet?
didn't think anything. I mean, it wasn't noticeable to me if it wasn't.
Yeah,
You
just-
didn't bring your tape with me.
No, I forgot that day.
Yeah.
Well, of course,
Left it in your other pants. I understand.
of course, the Bear baseball team played on a little league field in the '90s. You remember that one, Darnold?
Yeah.
Tennessee High, Bristol up there.
Yeah.
It was something like 190 down the lines and no more than 225 or something
Small-
center field. It was
small
some
field.
kind of rig. Yeah, but the Bears came in on top. Nevertheless, go ahead, there.
Yeah. Just to touch on the basketball season a little bit. Bradley Central. Girls, they've only got 2 seniors this year.
Yeah, they lost a lot of off the last year's team.
Last year's team went 22-6. Julia Gaither and Katie Brown are the 2 seniors, and so young team. But
Yeah.
now with
There'd be some growing pains.
now with the boys, on the other hand, you got Daniel Clark, Bradley McCurdy, Terrell Pittner, Trayvon Ware, and Peyton Barker. For Coach Chuck Clark in his 3rd season as Bradley's head coach. That first year, he was kind of interim, had the interim title.
Yeah, Coach Smith was dealing with some illness,
Mhm.
so Coach Clark stepped in and did the head coaching job as an interim coach. And then the next year, Coach Smith decided he was going to retire, and
That's
Coach
it.
Clark took it over.
That's it.
Yeah, they've had some tough early losses to some Knoxville area teams.
They lost to Maryville Tuesday night,
Yeah.
52-50. It's it pretty much was a close game, and as Coach Clark said, you can't miss that many free throws.
Yeah,
They shot like 43% from the free throw line.
more often than not, that ends up being the difference.
You know, I love it though. Whenever I look and I see head coach Chuck Clark, he's been teaching and coaching for 19 years here. Then his staff is Patrick Spangler and Drew German.
Yeah.
Both guys that local
Yeah.
guys that stayed around and you know, Drew following in his dad's footsteps as a coach.
Yeah.
Um,
You were on a Ron German coach basketball team, weren't you?
I was on the Ron
Yeah, that's
German
right.
coach basketball
Yeah.
team. He coached 1 year. We were a 500 team, but we probably had more fun than
Yeah.
any basketball team in history.
Speaking as a 10-year-old at the time, y'all were fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you have guys like, like Blake Johnson and people like that, Kevin Brown, and, those guys,
Yeah.
definitely the entertaining ones.
Yeah.
Did you say you didn't win a game?
No, we were
No,
500.
500.
Yeah.
I played on an 0-10 team at the Cleveland Community Center back in the early '80s under the late Robert Orr. Yeah, we lost some, and they weren't even close.
we were competitive. Just kind of moving on, finishing up around with the kind of a small preview of high school basketball. I know it started a little bit, and they've played 6-7 games, but all we've done is talk football.
Yeah.
But Walker Valley Girls, familiar name, with the first year as a Lady Mustangs head coach, Paul Cretton.
Former Bradley Central Barrett's coach. Returning from Lee University, take over the program in Walker Valley. They're having a little bit of a tough start, but I think once he kind of gets his program in place and gets things put together and gets the girls pulling in the same directions, that's going to be a tough program to deal with.
That guy can flat coach.
Oh, yeah.
Took
Yeah,
the Barretts to the state finals.
96.
96.
96,
Any of you guys at that game?
I was.
I was there.
Yeah, Shelbyville. They were big, and they
Mhm.
did what they wanted to inside, and
Yep.
it got away from us quick.
And if
So
I'm
we have
not
Sparrow.
mistaken, they had they had the
Girl that went to Auburn, Consuela Sparrow.
yeah.
Good memory there.
Okay, Doc. I'm gonna throw something at you here.
Uh-oh.
Let's see if you're good. Who was MVP of that state championship tournament?
Wow. So then it's not going to be the obvious. Not going to be somebody with Shelbyville. So it's going to be either Green or Redmond, probably due to the amount of points they scored.
You got to come up with a name. I want to see how good you are.
Oh, toss a coin on that one. I would say that, and he's trying to give me the answer there. I want to say that, and I didn't catch that because I was looking at the clock, but I want to say probably Green outscored
Guerin.
Redmond.
Guerin.
My bad. Close enough. All right, well, you got me on technical. Just for her 3-point range and all. So she netted the amount. That's unusual for the MVP to be on the losing
team,
losing end, but that's
That
fine.
is the only instance
Oh, really?
in Tennessee
Well,
State basketball history
really?
that the MVP came from the losing team in the state championship game. And if you remember, when they announced her name, the Shelbyville folk gave her a standing ovation.
I did. I don't know if we cleared out before that or I had that independent memory. I got one for you. Do you remember what Paige Redmond did in that game to honor her late brother? I mean this with all respect.
Oh, you got me on that one.
Wore a pair of his shorts under hers in that game,
Yeah.
and probably more games than that. But I remember that. Remember that specifically.
Those two probably two of the best. Well, I still
there's
as good
some competition, but I mean, there's
two of the best
I've seen.
teammates, pure shooters
Yeah.
to play in this area. I think. I mean, I can't, and I know I didn't see, the Hannahs and people, but I just can't imagine. I mean, Amy's range was pretty much she stepped off the bus and she and she her feet were ready to shoot.
And there's been more times than not than she would have. I mean, she could go just beyond the half court line, just fire away, and
it
more times than not,
wasn't
she'd nail
slinging it. It was just pulling up and taking a shot. I mean, it's amazing to watch.
One of the most amazing things was during the years that they played, I'd sit there and watch them. And you start seeing Paige and Amy back out. Start of the game, they'd be coming up to the 3-point line and shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And then about a little bit, then the next thing you know, they're about a step or two back. And then they're a step or two back. And they're a step or two back.
Before you know it, they're ordering popcorn while they're taking a three,
Yeah.
But and you just did not see a decrease in accuracy from either one of them. They was nailing them.
But what stood out to me, besides the games against Shelbyville and White County, they had some great games at Meigs County that year. They had, I mean, those are. I think they split. The games. Meigs County won one, Bradley won the other, and they actually played one game in Cleveland State.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember that those are classic ball games.
It's funny that team made it to the state, but my senior year team I thought was a better basketball team than that team. That was a team that had Melinda Godfrey, Robin Wilson, late Robin Wilson, who passed away my senior year. But she didn't play on that year's team. She had taken a year off, get ready for UPC because she had already signed. But you had Julie Eve was a junior. Paige and Amy were sophomores, but even then,
I forgot Robin didn't play her senior year.
Yeah.
So it was. To me, that was probably a better team. I guess with Amy and Paige being seniors, that may have made the difference. But I thought the big players, down low, were a little bit better in '93.
Yeah.
And that was Smitty's last year as a Barrett's coach.
Probably a little more, probably a little deeper team too.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the things about the state tournament game against Shelbyville is that it was pretty much the Paige and Amy show.
Yeah.
And if they'd had any help inside,
that's what
because Shelbyville basically double teamed Paige and double teamed Amy and guarded the other three girls with one.
Yeah,
there's their basic defensive.
And in '93, they wouldn't have been able to do that because Melinda was stout.
Yes,
I mean,
she
was stout. She controlled the paint. Wasn't overly tall. She was probably 5'11", 6 foot,
maybe 6 even.
If Travis is listening, I know he could tell us. But when she got the ball down low, she had a hook shot that a little hook shot that she didn't miss on. She gobbled up rebounds like a machine. And then on the other side, they had junior Julie Eve that ended up playing at MTSU.
Mm-hmm.
And those two big girls were probably what kept. If those would have been on the '96 team,
they would have won the tournament because they would have been able to. Shelbyville would not have been able to shut down Amy and Paige as much as they would.
Right?
Did White County win it that year?
they beat Bradley
at
at White County. No, it was at White County.
White County, okay.
Well, because Smitty's last game was at White County, and I think they throttled them by probably
the year before
20.
they beat them down here.
Right, and they might have beat them by 20. That was my first and only trip up to White County to a basketball game, and I don't know how it is now, but girls basketball, I mean, it was like a small college atmosphere. I mean, it was, seating was...
Well, at that time, it was basically Bradley, in the East is pretty much Bradley Central, White County, and Shelbyville.
Yeah.
I mean, those were the three teams in the East.
Yeah, what
you
was
had
her
to
name?
reckon
Played
with.
at Tennessee. The blonde girl. Now she's coach.
Kelly Jolly.
Yeah,
Kelly Jolly Harper now, but it was
Yeah.
Kelly Jolly, and she played at. Yeah, she was with White County.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was in the Jody Adams era.
Yes.
No.
no.
Adams
Am I wrong about
was
that?
88. 88 range.
So
Kelly
was-
Jolly.
Was Jolly a year before Amy and Paige, or 2 years before Amy and Paige?
She was.
Her senior. I mean,
Her senior year
Yeah.
was 2 years, I think.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
So,
that's what I was trying to say.
and but yeah, she was a good ball player. I got to see her play.
Yeah, when you talk about Bradley ball players, Paige and Amy, of course, Jody Adams, you've got to mention her.
Well, I don't
She's
go.
probably the best defensive player. Certainly,
Yeah,
and
Jody was probably one of the best. She played point guard and she run that team, but she could score. She could play defense. She was one of the better all-around players.
Somebody told me once about Jody Adams. She'd come down the floor instead of looking at the coaching staff. She'd be looking at her dad. And he'd be giving her a couple of signals from the stands on what to do on the offense.
I wouldn't doubt that.
I wouldn't either.
Good source told me that.
I'll tell you one of the most amazing plays I ever saw Jody Adams make. She come down the floor, took the inbounds pass, come down the floor. The defense stepped in, the forward and center. Garden, you're sitting there going, this is charge all the way. There's no way around it. Jody, what are you thinking? And she twists in the air, sideways, goes right between them, underhands it off the glass, through the basket, lands on her feet, and is halfway back down the court by the time the girls got their hands down.
Pretty good.
I mean, it was just one of those plays you sat there and looked, how'd that happen?
And was she on Pat's first national championship team?
Not her. I don't think it was her first.
But I think
But she was on her Jody's senior year. She was on a national championship team, and she was on crutches the entire year except when she played basketball.
Really.
Yes.
But in that game, that championship game you're talking about there, I think late in the game she took a charge or something, and it was a big factor in the outcome of the game there. Down the lane somewhere, she got plowed pretty good.
Yeah. Coach Summit says that was like having a coach on the floor with Jody running point.
Well, speaking of coaching, isn't she a coach now?
Yes.
Okay.
Wichita State.
Yes.
Let's see. Pat's first national championship was 87. She won it in 87, 89, 91, 96 through 98, 07 and 08.
So
she won a couple.
Yeah, didn't they have a three? Was that you ripped three strings, three in a row there?
Yeah,
Holtzclaw and that bunch.
Yeah,
And they
Holtzclaw.
got to the championship game, and Holtzclaw couldn't buy a bucket in the ocean.
Yeah.
And that what your memories of that is?
yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I mean, right at the rim, point blank shots or short, and makeable shots, just couldn't buy one.
it's just a tough night. I remember that against Duke. Yeah. And Duke was known mainly for. I mean, it's known for mainly the men's program, and Duke women's program just kind of came out of nowhere, and tripped them up.
So anyway, Hannah Walker, we got
A little bit off track.
Got off track there. Went on a rabbit trail, all talking about starting out with Paul Cretton. He's got three seniors on his team: Kathleen Alomar, Caitlin Lay, and Emily Spahn. And then the boys, Coach Bob Williams is in his 12th season as Walker Valley's men's coach. So that's 12 years, and they've been in school there, 14?
Something like
2000 or 2001.
2000 was their first year.
Never been on the campus.
Last year they finished 14-14. They've got 3 seniors: Josh Jones, Kenny Brunton, and Wes Wagner. So, and we got one more high school team to quickly talk about, and then we'll get on into some SEC talk. I know both Patrick and I are just chomping at the bit at that.
There's not much to talk about, is there?
No, not really.
Okay.
Nah.
Yeah. Surprised you didn't send me a text message and said, I don't even think you should show up.
Yeah, just give me a call and we'll talk about it off the air. But you got Cleveland High School, their basketball team. If I can find them, there they are. There they are. Their girls are coached by Mindy Kaiser in her 5th year. She's got 2 seniors, Shania Anderson and Jordan Thompson. And then the boys, Jason McCowan is in his 8th year as a coach. Man,
wow.
Time flies.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Got a good group of returning seniors: Kentrell Ware, TJ Constant, Michael Copeland, Turner Lay, and James McCree. So,
Gonna be a good solid nucleus there.
Yeah, when you got 5 seniors,
yeah,
that's a good start.
Yeah.
So anyway, SEC. We start out the week. We find out Mark Richt is no longer going to be the head coach at Georgia, and my first thoughts were, good, now I can hate him again.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
he was the only thing keeping me from totally hating him.
Oh, I still totally hate him. I found a way, but now you can totally like Mark Richt. I mean,
yeah, well,
maybe he's at Miami. I don't care about. I don't have any. I don't have anything against Miami.
We've played them 3 times. We've beat them twice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really like anybody in the ACC. So I'll just kind of start rooting for Miami. I think
we'll order up some Miami gear.
Yeah. Well, no,
not that far, but
no, I'm not going to pull up to you. I'm not going. But it's going to be interesting. I'll make this prediction right now. Miami's win total next year will be not just more than Georgia's, but significantly more. I see Miami as a 10-win. Looking at their schedule, and if you want to pull it up there, Patrick, and I was looking at it last night. I see them easily winning 10. Well, not easily. 9-3, 10-2. Whereas Georgia, I see them as a 6-6 ball team.
Oh yeah, I don't see. I mean, they've already. There's already rumors about that top quarterback that was supposed to be committed to him. There's already rumors. There's Florida rumors. There's Miami rumors even. It doesn't seem like he's going to end up at Georgia, and that hurts big time.
It does,
because they did not have a quarterback this year, and that's probably might have been part of their frustration with Richt is that there was just no quarterback this year. And I think we got a caller.
Oh, good. Thanks for catching that. You're on Good Sports.
Hey, this is Ron Moore at a live wrestling match up in McMinn County. How you doing?
Doing well.
How's the wrestling going, Mr. Ron?
Well, the varsity has not started. Well, right now Chattanooga Central and McMinn are wrestling, and McMinn's beating them. Bradley will start wrestling in a few minutes. They'll at Chattanooga Central, and then they'll wrestle McMinn County. So the Bears are just now warming up.
Well, that's good to know. How's everybody looking right now? They going to roll the table out for them?
The Bears are going to be very dominant this year. You know, they are favored by all the pollsters to be the team to beat this year. But you still got to beat everybody. You know, and who knows that there's teams out there that may just have the right matchup. You know, a lot of times, it's like in football, the right matchup can beat you. So, but tonight should be easy things. They go to Hickson on Tuesday night, and then next Thursday night their opening home match is against Baylor, which is the number 1 ranked team in the private school.
Well, that if you like wrestling, that ought to be a match to be attending.
It will be unbelievable. Like I say, it's the first home match for the Bears, so we expect a huge crowd there. The JVs will start about 6 o'clock on next Thursday night, and wrestling will start at 7.
Okay.
But and Cleveland High School is going to have a very good program this year. Also, I think they're the defending state champions. So Bears have got to take care of them first to see if they can take care of everybody else. They went down to a tournament this last Saturday and wrestled one of the top teams in the nation, and they got beat, but it was like 34-28. So it was a really close match. Last year we couldn't even compete with them. So the Bears are wrestling with national ranked teams and competing with them.
Well, that's a good thing to hear. How's Walker Valley looking for this year?
Walker Valley's going to be good. They may be down a little bit from last year, but I think Walker Valley will be one of the top 10 teams in the state of Tennessee this year.
Ah.
And so, so that puts, Bradley, Cleveland, they're going to be ranked 1, 2, 3, 4 all year long, unless the bottom falls out. Injuries can always hurt, like in football or any other team. And, 2 or 3 key guys get injured. But the Bears are loaded. They've got their JVs have won all their early tournaments. They go to a tournament. Matter of fact, Saturday, Bradley will be at the Ooltewah tournament down there.
Yeah.
And looking at that, Bradley should come out of there with the Owl Fives.
We have to worry about Saudi Daisy again this year.
Saudi Daisy's always dangerous. They're going to be better than they were last year. And they weren't bad last year. I think that they're, probably I think state rankings may have them 3rd or 4th. They could easily move first. All you got to do is beat the Bears this year and move to number 1.
Yeah. So that sounds like all the usual suspects are in play again.
Right. Last year, Bradley, excuse me, I thought something that last year the Bears finished 2nd in the state tournament to Cleveland. They needed to win one more match during the 3 days, and they would have beat Cleveland by 1 point for the state championship.
Really?
So that's how close it was.
Heavens.
So if you're a wrestling fan, you got to get out there for the Bradley Cleveland matchup, Bradley Walker Valley Cleveland, and Saudi Daisy matchups, and you'll see some good wrestling.
Yeah, the Baylor, Saudi Daisy, Cleveland, Walker Valley. Those, Walker Valley, Cleveland, Walker Valley, Bradley, they're always great things because it's just like in football. They want to beat the crosstown team, and, Walker Valley has not ever beaten Bradley yet in wrestling, but they got awful close a couple of years ago. They had a disqualification.
Yeah.
It was a freak thing happened, not anything mean, but a person got injured on an illegal move, which disqualifies the wrestler.
They pull out a foreign object out of their trunks.
Yeah.
No.
Hit him with a chair.
No.
Now, Doc, this is wrestling, not wrestling.
And also, Doc, on Facebook, I posted that song for you today.
You sure did, and I took opportunity. Me and my lady cut a rug to it last night at the Dewdrop Inn. Your version was classic. I really enjoyed that. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Hey, guys, I'll let you get back to your radio show. Who's Tennessee going to play in the bowl game?
I'm thinking it'll be Northwestern and Outback. That's what I'm kind of looking at.
Okay, I would like that. I think it's a good matchup for us.
I do too.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'll let you get back to it. The greatest sports show in Cleveland right here on Woo.
Well, thank you.
Take it easy, Ron. Keep us up on wrestling this year.
All right. Bye-bye.
Just finish up with what he was saying. Bradley's got 8 seniors this year. DJ Adams, Donnie Mayer, Bryson Bishop, Brett Brown, Brandon Cook, Elijah Danley, Josh Lacoe, Hunter Parker. Of those, Hicks, Fuller, and Brown will be defending their state titles from last year. Hicks defends his as a state champion at 106. Fuller's defending 2-time state championship titles. So, this is
a place to be for wrestling.
It really is
a place to be.
It really is.
Tell me, the wrestling state championship in Tennessee runs pretty much through Bradley County.
Kind of like the Maryville and Alcoa thing.
Yeah.
But tell me now, Bears have had a 4-year state champion? Have they? Was it one of the 2 brothers that... Yeah.
One of the Esslingers?
No.
Blackmans?
No, it wouldn't have been the Esslingers because they were when it was still 3 years. I mean, when Bradley was 3 years.
Have they had a 4-year man, or has it just been 3? I think it was those 2 brothers. Remember, one of them got to the final match, and he got disqualified, and he really got it bent out of shape about it, and then he tried to go on to be some kind of freestyle national champion, and he got a pretty far in that. And the name escapes me. Around 130, 160 pounds, wasn't that big. I want to say that one of those 2 guys were either 3 or 4 year state champions.
Oh. See, now,
That's
you
something
asked
Roger-
that question. We don't have Ron around.
Yeah, we'll have Ron around. I should have asked Ron that when he's loud. It sounded like he was headed to the hot dog stand.
Well, do you blame him?
Yeah.
Back to Sunday, we get up and we hear Mark Richt's been fired at Georgia, and my first thoughts were, we've seen this played out before.
Yeah.
More than likely, it's such a crapshoot.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially you go the assistant coach
Yeah.
to replace him.
and it was one thing when it was the Majors Fulmer thing, you had Majors, or you had Fulmer that was in the program for many, many years.
Mhm.
He took over and was interim head coach while Majors was in the hospital. So all things led toward Fulmer being that. But to go out, to fire your coach and go out and get an unproven coordinator, that's,
You better be right.
yeah, exactly. You better be right.
As you know, I have in-laws that are Georgia fans,
Right.
and this discussion came up Thanksgiving Day. My nephew point blank said, "It's time. He needs to go.
Yeah.
He needs to go." One of the other, my brother-in-law's brother was talking about it with me, and he says, "I see your point. This is dangerous ground we're treading on to let a coach of this caliber go for what?"
9.6 wins per year is what he's averaged.
I made this comment on Twitter, and of course, kind of tongue in cheek, kind of truthful, and kind of pointing at what we as fans expect this year in this day and age, and how we're not really looking at the real picture sometimes. The bottom line is Richt was fired for lack of championships.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that bottom line, that's it. He's like 145 and 45 or some crazy number like that, averaging, like 10 wins this season. But the only thing he doesn't have in his back pocket is SEC championships and a national championship.
No SEC championship.
No, he's got
Well,
one,
he's got two.
He's got two, but
but he
he
hadn't won one in 10
Yeah.
years.
he don't have enough.
Yeah. And Missouri, I mean, he's not winning them when the SEC East is weak. I mean, Missouri's won the last two, besides
Fluky.
Florida this year. But
Yeah.
fluke or nothing. I mean, Georgia lost games that they had no business losing. And, I mean, that's just...
And one of the things
and-
Georgia
but
fans point
look-
to is the talent that's come through there that has, to their mind, been wasted because they haven't won national championships or state or enough conference championships.
And I don't agree with the firing, first of all, before I say
I
it.
don't
Yeah.
Yeah. But there was, I mean, it's not as cut and dry. There were reasons, but, all in all, when you give up a coach like that, you better be prepared. Or you better hire somebody that can keep the ship going, or push the ship even further. But
The reality,
you don't know.
The reality is the AD at Georgia has to hit a home run with this hire with somebody that's going to win more than Richt pretty quickly.
So if Chubb didn't get hurt, Rick's still there.
If frankly, I don't think that matters so much. If he hadn't won if he won a SEC championship and competed for a national championship, maybe.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not so sure that would have.
But people quickly forget.
Exactly.
3 years ago, he was one tip pass away from major upsetting Alabama and
Yes.
playing for a national championship.
Yes.
But even Chubb being hurt, they still had a 5-star running back to back him up. The problem wasn't really the running game. The problem was they couldn't get a consistent passing game going to save their life.
But to beat that or to fix that, he had a 5-star quarterback coming in.
But why? I mean, you have that many top 5 recruiting classes,
Because
and you
sometimes
have
you
a
whiff.
backup from Virginia.
Because sometimes you whiff on that 5-star.
Yeah.
Sometimes that 5-star.
Was it Bryce Ramsey that was the 5-star on the depth chart?
Yeah, it didn't pan out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there was also a 5-star that Fulmer had gotten
Oh yeah.
that didn't pan out. His name was John Crompton.
Yeah.
But you know, all it takes is that one quarterback, or one year of having a quarterback that everybody thought was going to be the guy that totally falls off the map or doesn't develop like he should, and then all of a sudden, okay, you're in kind of a scramble mode trying to find a quarterback. Well, he had a 5-star quarterback coming in.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was.
So the guy hasn't actually signed with Joe. He's just committed verbally.
Yes.
So he can move. So
He'll be
that's
at Florida.
what-
I guarantee you he's at Florida.
Yeah.
No.
I
guarantee he'll be at
I
Florida.
mean, it's
The
either
kid.
Florida or Miami. If he can get, we still got plenty of time till signing day, but it's either Florida or Miami, and I think it's going to be Florida. That hurts him.
Yeah. And so you've got that, and for all purposes, Kirby Smart, defensive coordinator at Alabama, is going to be named the head coach at Georgia, more than likely.
More, that's
what-
pretty much what everybody thinks.
Right. And then there comes a speculation of, okay, who's his defensive coordinator going to be? Who's his offensive coordinator going to be?
And like I said earlier, I'm not supporting this firing, and the reason is because this has been a tough year for them. They've lost some games that they probably shouldn't have.
They lost
They've
three
lost
ball
three
games.
They probably shouldn't have lost to Tennessee, but
That's the only game that they should have
deserved
lost to.
a chance to right the ship.
And the other two games that he lost just happen to be teams that are playing this Saturday in Atlanta with
Yeah.
one loss. Well, one conference loss.
Yeah.
Florida has 2 losses, but just one conference loss. So, should he have gotten beaten 27-3 against Florida? Probably not.
Yeah.
But for some reason, Florida, just like us, they dominate Georgia.
And how much of that over the years is there weighing on their mind, the fact that Tennessee has beaten Georgia a few times when they really shouldn't have.
But the team,
But Rick had kind of righted that a whole lot.
they
and
beaten
it
us
was-
5 years in a row.
and was consistently beating
Until
Tennessee
this
when they
year.
should beat them.
So, I mean, you look over the whole, 15 years of Tennessee versus Georgia under Rick. Before Rick, we dominated them. We had won 8 in a row.
Yeah.
And then we lost to Don, and then Rick got there in 2001, and he won the first 3 against us, and then we finally won in 04. He won in 05. We won 06 and 07. He won in 08, and then won 08, 9, 10. No. 09, he got beat by Kiffin, and then he hadn't lost until this year.
Yeah.
So the three teams that he lost to this year were Alabama, Florida, and Tennessee, who he hadn't lost to in 5 years, and then he gets fired. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and he should be. And if this team wasn't as good, and I said this wasn't a very good team, but the thing is, the SEC East itself wasn't a very good division. So he kind of, that record probably, bloomed up a little bit. But this is the thing is, if you don't have a good, he should have earned enough clout to where, okay, if you didn't contend for the division this year, you deserve a chance to right the ship. And just like Fulmer should have been given a chance to right the ship, this could come back and bite him.
So the thing of it is, Fulmer was released before the end of the first season, and he had been told he had 2 seasons to right the ship.
Yeah.
And they pulled in A.D. Hamilton pulled the trigger on him
Buffoon.
before the first season was even over with. And Fulmer had, made the moves that they kind of requested, find a new offensive coordinator, do this, do that, change your offense around. All that was coming through. But you don't turn that around immediately and easily.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a little time to do it. He was released before he got through the first season, so it makes you wonder how much that Mr. Hamilton really intended on following through with what he said in the first place.
And the interesting thing, those two careers mirror each other, with the exception that Fulmer got the national championship and Rick didn't.
Yeah.
Fulmer's last 9 years, he didn't get an SEC championship. He got an East. He went to the East, or won the East, and went to Atlanta
and and then lost to LSU,
who won the national championship that year.
Yeah,
lost to Auburn, who went undefeated that year and should have played for a national championship. So it's not like he was just going out and getting beaten by anybody. You know.
Oh yeah.
It's stupid in the fact that you look at that and we've hashed and rehashed that till it was. So now you look, here we are 8 years later, and the Georgia fans haven't, and the Georgia boosters and alum they can't see history. And you've got a Nebraska program that's reeling right now after firing a coach that had won 9 games the previous year. You've got now you got Georgia here that Richt had the number 1 quarterback right now when he was fired, his recruiting class was ranked 3rd in the country.
Yeah. LSU's ranked number 1 in the country.
Fulmer's was ranked 3rd in the country when he was fired. It ended up dropping to 10th.
Yeah.
Taj Boyd and Bryce Petty.
Yeah. Oh my.
And
Kiffin told her to take a hike.
Yeah, he said, "No, y'all don't really fit my system." And I have nothing bad to say against Kiffin. I've way gone past that. I hope Kiffin gets a head coaching job, because if Saban's having to replace a defensive coordinator, and then all of a sudden, and let's see who's calling here. You're on Good Sports.
Yeah, this is Barry Keith.
Hey, Barry Keith.
How you doing?
Doing pretty well.
You take this guy off the air.
Hey. I see your mama on you.
Uh-oh.
Hey, how about South Carolina?
Yeah, we were going to get to that.
Yeah.
We've heard Rich Rodriguez and Muschamp. Y'all heard anything different?
Those are the 2 names I heard today.
Rich Rodriguez came up today, actually. Muschamp has been, I think if he hasn't interviewed, he's about to interview, and now they've interviewed Rodriguez. I think, if you got a chance to get Rich Rodriguez, I think the choice between him and Muschamp would be a no-brainer. But honestly, the fact that South Carolina is even interviewing Muschamp kind of tells me all I need to know about their athletic director.
Yeah, if you can't win at Florida, you can't win anywhere.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Dad?
Well, I think Florida has so much more talent that if you can't win there, I think that's a good statement. You can't win anywhere.
Yeah.
My frank feeling on that is, as Tommy alluded to, somebody hiring Kiffin, I think Kiffin will be a much better hire than Muschamp at South Carolina.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, you can keep him under control.
Yeah.
And he's 6 years older now than he was at Tennessee, and 3 years removed from being at Southern Cal. I would say he's probably taken enough lumps now. He's probably gotten a little more maturity about him. He's coached under Saban for 2 years now and seen how Saban handles different situations. I really think this next time around with Kiffin, I think you're going to see a different guy, and I think you're going to see, I thought that he would have been a better fit for Miami than Richt was.
That it too.
Now, see, I mean, and the argument with Richt in Miami is like, Miami has, well known for their outlaw players, but Richt didn't have Boy Scouts.
That's true, and not only there, but also at Florida State, he didn't have Boy Scouts.
Definitely didn't have Boy Scouts,
but yet he kept them. He was able to keep them eligible. So
yeah, I actually think, it might be a better fit than people think. And one other thing about Richt Miami in the ACC is in a division that doesn't have Clemson and Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
The only real competition they have, well, I guess as far as this year goes, is North Carolina.
But that's not going to be an every year thing.
No. That's not a consistent program. But Clemson and Florida State are consistent programs.
The jury's still out on Clemson being consistent.
Consistently competitive in their division, I should have said.
Competitive, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, has Virginia made any kind of move?
Virginia or Virginia Tech?
Well, they interviewed Rick, Virginia.
Okay.
They interviewed Rick. I don't.
Else.
I thought for Virginia, and I thought a direction they need to look at is that Bowling Green coach, Dino Babers. I mean, he comes from that Baylor offense. I mean, I think that could, that might make a splash in the ACC. I don't know, but I can't believe that he hasn't got a look for a head coach and for a higher head coaching job, except maybe Central Florida, and Will Muschamp is getting considered. I just
blows my mind.
Yeah.
I just hadn't heard him interview anybody else. I just wondered if y'all had heard any.
And it's probably best that you haven't heard anything, because when you look at how things are handled, different programs handle things differently. To me, it's not good when you see name after name get thrown out there and then shot down, like we had when the Dooley thing, came out with us. And it seemed like every name that was thrown out there, they pulled back and they weren't interested.
Yeah. We thought we had that Air Force coach all but locked up, or Cutcliffe all but locked up.
Right.
And then it just seemed like late that afternoon, oh, we got this guy from Louisiana Tech, and he's Vince Dooley's son.
Yeah.
So
thanks y'all for taking my call.
Well, thanks for calling
Thanks
in.
for calling.
Please call in more often.
Absolutely.
I will.
All right.
Y'all take care. Bye.
So Rick at Miami. Like I said, did you have a chance to pull up their schedule?
Actually, no, Miami's schedule. I wasn't able to pull up their schedule. And since I wasn't able to do that, I pulled up their division, and that's where I, that's where I saw.
Okay, well, here's their non-conference games are next year are at Boone, North Carolina against Appalachian State.
Yeah.
How that ended up happening, I don't know. But at Appalachian State, yes.
Yeah, and they pulled up the site I went to had those games.
Yeah. So they play at Appalachian State.
Is that a misprint?
That's what I'm saying.
No,
I thought I had this vision. I heard of that game too, and I thought, this is Dale Jones. He's still on the staff over there, I guess.
I think so.
So that was his chance, his moment of glory. Wonder if he'll be recognized in some kind of special.
Oh, and just one thing, I kind of looked up. There is a Virginia interview with the Western Kentucky coach Jeff Brom. So that actually might be a real good hire itself. But I haven't. How is Appy State able to host a game against Miami? I'm sorry.
Well, according to FBschedules.com,
which is
their tentative schedule, and it doesn't have them all, all the games listed as in the times yet. I mean, the dates yet on the certain ones, but they play Florida A&M.
Yeah.
They play at Appalachian State September the 17th.
Okay.
Kidd Brewer Stadium, Boone, North Carolina.
Wow. I can't even believe they wouldn't play on a neutral site when you think you'd.
Yeah, what is the capacity of that?
I can't, yeah.
Oh.
I would say
30,000?
Yeah. Probably, if that, yeah.
They're going to leave 30,000 outside the gate.
I mean,
they play.
Is it bigger than Finley Stadium?
Probably. Yeah, well, yeah. To be a Division I, it would have to be.
All right.
Because there are certain numbers that you have to get to. It's 40, isn't it?
I think to say is over 30. It's well over 30, 35, 40,
yeah,
something
like that. And then they play at Notre Dame.
I think it's 35.
And then their other non-conference game is Florida Atlantic. Their ACC home games are Duke, North Carolina, Pittsburgh, and Florida State. And the road games are Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech, and NC State. So let's count those wins. Florida A&M and Appalachian State, those are wins.
Right.
Okay. Notre Dame, that's a toss-up. Go ahead and put that in the loss column. Let's just.
No, we'll put it.
All right. So you keep up with my losses.
All right.
So I got 2 and you.
2 and 1.
Okay. Florida Atlantic, a win. Duke, more than likely a win. They've beaten them 2, 3, 4 years in a row.
With the Astros on one of them. But
yeah. North Carolina, it's going to be interesting.
Let's call it a loss.
It's going to be, that's a home game, number 1. Number 2, we don't know where Larry Fedora is going to end up.
I've read where they are working on an extension for him, and I haven't heard his name mentioned in any other jobs. So.
But that's when you see somebody
sneak up.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many jobs that are still out there, and there's jobs that are out there that haven't been. I don't think we've had somebody resign yet that's going to.
I think the only risk you had of getting Fedora away from North Carolina, they've been took. USC got their interim coach. They lifted the title off him. Georgia apparently is going to have Kirby Smart. I think the only risk you had of getting Fedora away from North Carolina, they've been took. USC got their interim coach. They lifted the title off him. Georgia apparently is going to have Kirby Smart. They lifted the title off him. Georgia apparently is going to have Kirby Smart. I think beyond that, I mean, you know, it looks like South Carolina's not going to. They're doing thrift shopping.
They got a couple other names thrown in on South Carolina that I've found.
Well,
Greg Schiano,
the ex-Tampa Bay coach, Rutgers coach.
Lincoln Riley, and, of course, Sean Elliott interviewed already.
Lincoln Riley is 32.
I think Schiano wouldn't be a bad hire there.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think he could actually put together a pretty decent staff. That'd be very interesting. But I mean, is South Carolina a lot of people thought that they would be that dark horse to go after a big name, maybe even a Chip Kelly. But I mean, now that the coaching search is on, they haven't really gone that route. So I think Larry Fedora stays. I think I would say 95% chance Larry Fedora stays. You know, unless an NFL team after, which I don't think that's going to happen.
But like I said, I think there's still a couple of jobs out there that people haven't been let go, or guys haven't quit to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like let's say Rich Rod leaves Arizona to go to South Carolina. That frees up that job. Somebody else might jump there. Somebody, you know.
Yeah. You think Fedora would leave North Carolina for Arizona?
Well, maybe not, but that might have the trickle effect to where somebody else goes to Arizona.
Okay. All right.
You know, so anyway, getting back to the schedule. Pittsburgh, I think that's a win.
Okay. I'll call it a win.
Yeah. Florida State, that possibly a loss. We got 2 losses there. Then the road games. Virginia Tech.
Should be a win.
Virginia Tech, Virginia should be a win. Georgia Tech
should be
and NC State, another win.
I think, you know,
that's a 10-2 season.
Your fence games are it's going to make it a 10-2 season or a 7-5 season. You're going to win the games that, you know, that are toss ups. So
yeah, and Rick does usually they do win he does win those games. And when you get Miami talent and the quarterback, and his name escapes me,
Gino Toretta,
Vinny Testaverde,
the third.
Oh, really?
No, but
you remember him?
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah,
wasn't the Heisman wasn't even drafted?
Yeah. You know, I think he's going to do wonders down there. And if you could make $4 million and you had the choice to live in Athens, Georgia, or South Beach, where would you want to live?
Toss a coin.
Yeah. I mean, if cost of living, which clearly wouldn't be at $4 million, is a consideration, then obviously Miami. But he's from Miami. Miami built Miami from the city of Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, they built. That's how the U was. You know, that's where their tradition comes from, is because they locked down. You know, Jimmy Johnson locked down the city of Miami.
And think about the players that over the last 5-7 years that have gotten out of the city of Miami.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll be able to recruit and not leave his area code.
Yeah.
19 million population. I think I was hearing that right up the interstate.
Yeah.
Compared to 6 million or something in Tennessee, 4 million.
So
he can find some players out of that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he can lock down Miami the way Jimmy Johnson did, I mean, those fence games become the wins.
And Butch Davis.
Yeah.
So after a hurricane victory, did Jimmy Johnson approach the locker room like he did as helm of the Dallas Cowboys? How about them Hurricanes?
Yeah. I mean, he very well could have. Did you ever watch the ESPN special on Miami?
Hell, I ain't got cable TV. I've missed a lot in the last few years.
He encouraged that. I mean, and they talked about it, like how he encouraged that swagger because he wanted to express himself. So he encouraged the end zone dances, and he thought that, you know, why fight him on it, I guess.
And with Rick, you've got two things. You've got a guy that's really conservative, but he's also a guy that when needs to, I mean, remember a couple of years back when Florida and Georgia played, and he said to his players, if we don't get a personal foul, I mean, unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, then everybody will run. And they were out there dancing everything after. I mean, he can mix it up a little bit too.
I heard they sent the dog out there too.
Oh, I mean, they sent
Probably. He is a player's coach, and one thing he can do as good as anybody, he can sell mama. And if you can sell mama in recruiting, then that's it. You got yourself probably a top 10 class if you're able to sell mama.
And like you said, he's able to get thugs and keep them on the program.
Yeah.
So he knows a little bit about getting around the system a little bit too. Because I mean, keep in mind at Florida State, he won a national championship as a as an offensive coordinator. He was also the offensive coordinator when Tennessee played him for the national championship. And so
the Randy Sanders phenomenon thing, the one game, and
as many people like to knock Randy Sanders, I would like to remind you that Randy Sanders coached in the very first BCS national championship and won, and coached in the very last BCS championship.
Really?
And was on the winning team.
How about that? Yeah. What is it? Something like 23-16, an odd score.
Yeah.
The Miami or the Florida State quarterback hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winky.
Yeah. Randy Sanders has a pretty good record of developing quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think he has a better reputation with Tennessee fans than Dave Clawson.
Yeah.
The claw.
The claw
I
fence.
never saw it. I don't know. It just went over my head. Yeah, Arnold, you remember what about Miami Blast from the Past? Hadn't heard the name. Howard Schnellenberger, Blast from the Past.
That goes back a little ways.
And
and that's where Doc usually goes.
Yeah.
I can tell you what happened 28 years ago, and I couldn't tell you what happened 3 weeks ago. But and I was reading here this Cleveland Daily Banner article. I had forgotten how dominant the Miami program was, and shows here won 5 national championships in a span of 19 seasons. Would you have thought that? This is not a misprint. Hurricanes were becoming the program that would win 5 national championships in a span of 19 years.
Schnellenberger and Jimmy Johnson, and they had things going down there for a while.
Yeah, and not only did they win the national championships that they did, they were in the thick of most of the national championship races. I mean,
Sugar Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, if they beat Tennessee, they win that national championship because Oklahoma had beat Penn State, and then in '86, Vinny Testaverde throws like 5 or 6 interceptions, and they lose to Penn State, and then they finally get the national title in '87. Lose to Notre Dame in '88, and that was their only loss. So that was a powerhouse then.
Well, if I'm right, by that same token, as I got my commemorative Coke bottle here, the only setback in Tennessee that '85 year was the 17-10 loss, and there was a tie to UCLA.
Yeah.
So that game we're talking about, Tennessee defeating Miami, would Tennessee been national champion? Didn't they finish second? Third.
They finished fourth that year. They had 2 ties. One was UCLA, one was Georgia Tech. They lost to Florida, which Miami also lost to Florida that year. So they had 2 ties.
6-6. You're right. Good memory. 6-6 and 26.
They tied Georgia Tech the week after Tony Robinson got hurt against Alabama.
I've watched that '86 Sugar Bowl a unspeakable amount of times.
Well, tell me this: should Chris White have not scored in that reception? He let off the gas.
Yeah, he did.
That last 7 yards.
He did.
My gosh.
Yeah,
I don't know. I guess
the guy have an angle on it.
The word I had was basically he ran out of gas. He said he was out. By the time he got to that point, he didn't have any more.
Yeah. I've told this story before. I was living in Maryville, Tennessee at the time, working with Red Food Stores up there, and I was traveling back up in Cleveland and saw the bus load of the players come off of McGee Tyson Airport onto Alcoa Highway, the motor mile there, and traveling. I took the day off or something and followed the bus in onto the campus proper. They went to Gibbs Hall. Majors came out, had some kind of little assembly there, and he did introduce Chris White as the nation's leading interceptor. He had 9, 10, or 11 at that point. I remember that none of the other guys like Dale Jones or any of those guys came out. It was just the seniors. Like only 3 or 4 of them came out. Never forget. I wish I'd have taken a picture of that.
Did they have something like that in Cleveland? Like you know,
yeah.
they gathered in downtown. I think. Yeah.
It was, you know, can you name all the players? Obviously, you could. It was on the team, on that '85 Sugar Bowl team. But correct me if I'm wrong. I've been wrong on this thing before. 2 are obvious. Third one,
Wait, there
kicker.
was Quadrivez.
Oh, for just from Bradley County. I'm sorry, McQuarrie.
You had Dale Jones, Chris White, Jim Asman, and
Reserve player
Rakestraw.
Rakestraw.
Wes Rakestraw was reserve linebacker.
Down, but he was on the team.
Yeah,
But he's got stories to tell, I guess.
I would think so. There, even anything from the legendary Kingston Pike and Cumberland Avenue. Yeah.
Well, back to this decade.
But yeah, Mark Richt was a great hire for Miami.
Looking at South Carolina, Rich Rod met today, I think. They're also going to interview Cal coach Sonny Dykes, as well as former Rutgers and Tampa Bay Bucks Greg Schiano. Dykes, who is 35 and 38 as a head coach. Surely they won't go that route.
I mean, the fact that they're considering him
And
strongly.
and Muschamp.
Yeah, I meant Muschamp in that, but I don't know. I don't know what I really don't. This was the same school that pulled up Lou Holtz. Yeah, I mean, and Lou Holtz has some pretty good teams in South Carolina.
Lou Holtz probably set the stage for Spurrier.
Yeah, so they went out and hired Spurrier. What? I mean, I thought that, and that's where I was coming from when I said I was thinking that they were going to make some real splash hire that no one expected.
They've got an 83,000 seat stadium, a fan base that fills that stadium even when they're just average. There's no reason for them not to go out and spend the money.
Yeah.
If they don't, I think that whatever comet or whatever crazy cloud that we were in for about 8 years finally is settling, and we're getting back to normal. You got Tennessee that's making our way back to the top. You got Florida that's at the top. Georgia is that settling back down into that third spot, being in the middle. And then you got at the bottom, you got Kentucky, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and then Missouri still. It's too early to tell, but they're going to be right there in the middle.
That's another opening that's confusing.
Yeah. Who goes to Missouri?
We got a caller here.
I'll take
You're on Good Sports.
Hey, I've been sitting here listening to all this,
Mm-hmm.
and I've come to a conclusion here.
You're a Miami fan now.
Yeah.
No, I think Lane Kiffin ought to go to Georgia.
There you go.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I'm afraid of.
He must
Lane train.
go down there and really train them,
Yeah.
being that they're so bad.
Do you think?
They're not bad. They won 8 or 9 games this year.
Do you think Lane got along better with Saban or Kirby Smart?
I don't know.
I mean, Kirby Smart might just steal him away. You never know.
Who is Kirby Smart?
The Alabama defensive coordinator that's been there through this run of championships with Alabama.
But has he ever done any coaching?
Not as a head
Not
coach.
as a head
no.
coach.
That's what I'm saying.
rolling the dice.
But Mark Richt had never been a head coach before moving to Georgia either.
Oh, Mark Ritz just wanted to go home.
Well, I'd want to go to South Beach too.
Yeah.
That's where he's from, so that's where he wanted to go.
Yeah.
I heard this about a year ago that he was wanting to go back down there.
Yeah, but he got a $4 million. They didn't.
Someone paid you $4 million to go to Miami. Do you not go?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And he was let go. There was no mutual to it.
Yeah.
If it was mutual, we'll just part ways, then you don't get a buyout. He got a $4.1 million buyout to leave Miami. To leave Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
That's not Les Miles buyout money, but I'll still take it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about this Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
We don't either. And, I mean,
Does the name Jim Donnan ring a bell?
I just think,
Did he coach Marshall?
for some reason, I just think he'd make a good coach.
Who, Lane?
Yeah.
I think he will. I think next time he gets a head coaching job, I think he will.
I wish he'd get that in Georgia.
I hope he leaves. I hope he leaves Alabama.
I kind of hope he leave. Well, I mean,
Because think about this. Think about this. If Smart goes, then then Saban's replacing a defensive coordinator.
yeah.
If Kiffin gets a head coaching job the same time, then he's replacing an offensive and defensive coordinator. What if Texas decides to just open up the wallet and say, "Hey, here's your blank check, Saban. Come on."
How many NFL openings do you think they're going to be this year?
There'll be several.
This is getting crazy.
Yeah.
It really is.
I mean, hey,
It's-
Saban
it-
could end up in
it-
Nashville.
They call it silly season for a reason.
Oh yeah.
So I just say get crazy with them.
I say, yeah, I agree
Get the
with
worst coach you can find.
you. Yep. Just go crazy with it.
That's what I
Give me a coach that
Well, they-
that won't punt on fourth down.
Yeah.
Give me a coach that, just all the traditional by the book plays go out the window.
They
I
did
say
that.
Give me that, and it walked out on Tennessee and go to Georgia.
You know, speaking of traditional, not by the book, how come no one's mentioned the guy from Washington State? That guy never runs the ball, it seems like. Mike Leach.
Mike Leach?
Well, how come no one's mentioned him for openings? Is Washington State got him locked up?
No, I think he's pretty much blackballed by the whole Texas Tech deal whenever he had Craig James's son.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal there, I think.
Craig James shouldn't have that much clout.
No, I agree.
Okay, y'all figure it out.
No,
Okay.
but yeah, okay.
You,
So
you want to talk about crazy? What about the deal with LSU?
Yeah.
that's another topic I wanted to come up
Yeah.
with. I mean, up until, it was all but
He was gone.
gone. And then all of a sudden, no, we want him to be our coach. What happened there, I guarantee you, was they wanted, it wasn't money. They wanted Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah, and Jimbo
Jim-
got cold feet.
Jimbo got cold feet. Well, if they're going to fire a coach after, again, another coach that's won 10 games a year every year, has a national championship, has SEC championships, and they're going to fire him, I'll just stay at Florida State where I'm pretty safe here.
Yeah.
You know, Jimbo Fisher, I think about all those years under Bobby Bowden. Bowden's last few years were shaky. Records were 5 and 6 losses. Okay, it's just it's one of those things that makes me go, Jimbo Fisher, assistant coach, now head coach, and all of a sudden they're winning. I mean, does that not just strike you as odd?
Well,
Now, am I pushing it here?
no, you had Bowden that was 85 years old.
Not that Fisher was sabotaging anything, but it's
No.
just like that philosophy is kind of like, well, you promote the man underneath when your team is,
He still has his own way of doing things.
Yeah.
And, he learned from Bowden what to do, but you also learn what not to do.
Bottom line, Randy Sanders.
Yeah.
There you
That's everywhere he's been. Honestly, he went to Kentucky. The 3 best years Kentucky's had in the last 40 years. Randy Sanders was a quarterback's coach there.
I couldn't. Where is he now? You mentioned it.
Florida State.
Yeah.
And who did he have as a quarterback last year?
Oh,
Jameis Winston.
Winston.
Who was
I
your
didn't-
number 2 pick last year?
yeah.
Jameis Winston.
I always thought that Coach Sanders got kind of the raw
I
deal.
thought he did too. And when you look at the numbers at Tennessee, his years as a coordinator, 90-80 he won the national championship with 1 game.
Yeah.
Actually with 2 because he coached
SEC championship game.
he coached the SEC championship game. The next year, Tennessee goes 9-3, loses to Nebraska, Arkansas, and Florida.
Yeah.
No recollection.
Put up points still.
Yeah.
2000 broke in not 1 but 2 freshman quarterbacks and ended up with Casey Clausen, went 8-4. 01, they're 1 fumble away in Atlanta from playing for a national championship against LSU. 02.
That was a tough year. I think that's when some of the wolves on Sanders started
It
howling.
still ended up an 8-4 year.
Yeah, but they got whipped by Maryland in the Peach. I mean, whipped all over the field, and I think that's when the wolves started to howl. I mean, that's and people started kind of being a little more wary of them. But I think then you had pretty good years in 2003, 2004 was to me was a good year.
Well, it was a good year. We went to Atlanta.
Yeah. I think that, when the way that quarterback situation was handled, that was tough for a lot of us to swallow.
Have you ever heard my theory on the 3 plays that have changed college football over the last 10 years? They all involved Tennessee games.
Oh, well, I can name one of them. Let's see, what the LSU thing?
No,
the end zone. The Dooley last game.
No. You got to go back to 2000. You got to go back to 2004. In 2004.
Big as I am on rules, I'm lost.
Okay, 2004, Tennessee, Florida. Okay.
But I'll tell you another one. Here.
Oh, the
Dallas
retaliation.
The Dallas Baker slap. If the refs call that the way they should have called it, Tennessee doesn't win that game. But that's not a problem because Tennessee shouldn't have been in that game to begin with. If they lose that game with 2 freshman quarterbacks, no big deal, no harm, no foul. If they win that game, Ron Zook doesn't lose his job there. So Urban Meyer never goes to Florida.
All right.
Okay.
Zook.
Fast forward later into the season. First of all, if Urban Meyer never goes to Florida, then Tebow was on the fence between Florida and Shula at Alabama. Tebow goes to Alabama. Shula doesn't lose his job.
Saban never comes to
Alabama. They would have never won with Shula as a head. They would have never won a
not
national
that
championship.
level.
No. So that's those two. Now with Tennessee, Notre Dame game, last play of the half.
Oh no, I remember that. That was a nightmare.
That was a nightmare. Ainge gets his shoulder hurt. Rick Clausen comes in, loses that game because he throws an interception that gets run back for a touchdown. But then they go on to win the rest of the games. He plays in Atlanta and has a good game against A&M in the bowl game.
Yeah.
And so going into 2005, there's a quarterback controversy. Well, if he never gets hurt, if Ainge never gets hurt, there is no quarterback controversy because we never see Rick Clausen. So Sanders and Fulmer never get fired.
Can we verify all this?
Wow.
Yeah, all those
you were
plays
giving
happen.
a lot. You got a lot of time to think about that. But on that last on that last note,
Ring the bell.
on that last note, okay, he had a good bowl game, but you still got to make a decision. I mean, it was like
But that's the problem.
But every time one of them, they were playing with a shadow. They didn't know what was about to happen.
And that's my point. If Ainge doesn't get hurt, that shadow is never cast because Clausen is out of the picture, never plays.
Well,
so going into 2005, Eric Ainge is your quarterback, end of story. There is no question. There is no quarterback controversy. There is no division of the team. So therefore, we don't, you got Urban Meyer's first year. Tennessee lost that one 16-7. Ugly football game. Yeah, it was an ugly game. Go back and YouTube it. It was an ugly game. But we lost that one. We probably don't lose it. The next week we go and beat LSU.
Yeah.
Later on in the year we lose to Alabama 6-3 in a battle of field goals because our running back fumbles out of the back of the end zone. A lot of those plays probably don't happen that way.
Then what becomes of David Cutcliffe then? Because we don't fire then we don't fire Sanders, and we get
he takes a couple more years off and then still ends up at Duke.
Okay.
In my scenario,
I love it.
One more rule change involved Tennessee, and similar to this bottle here. It was a couple of guys that played, maybe Hovanek and somebody else, kicker. Maybe it was Becksport. No, maybe it was before Becksport's time, maybe. But the Tennessee playing at Florida, the student section was directly behind the Tennessee bench, and it was alleged that it had a little bit of adult beverages prior to going in the stadium, and some of the Florida fans, student section in particular, were refilling them and whizzing them towards the Tennessee bench. And from that game on,
nice.
that was a well-known established thing that no more students behind the bench.
And it's probably a good thing then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit
So
with that.
So, any idea who do you think South Carolina? Do they between here
Back to
between now and when we're back in here in 7 days?
Bring
does
back
South
Lou
Carolina
Holtz.
get a coach?
I mean, I would say at least there's a verbal agreement to be a coach. I mean, the ink might not be dry, but I think there's at least a verbal agreement. I think when you got like a lot of openings, you need to be a little more on your game. You need to be a little more of I wouldn't say a hurry, but there needs to be some urgency,
Like
And
what Miami
yeah,
did.
because these names they're gonna get swept up pretty quickly.
Well, look
and
at
I'd say in a week, a lot of these names that we're talking about, they're going to have jobs.
Look at just this week. Memphis's coach is at
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech now
Ah,
to replace
Yes.
Beamer, who retired.
And will start his career in Bristol
Bristol,
against.
Tennessee.
is that the first game of the season?
Actually, no, it's the second game.
Is it
play-
the second?
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna try
play.
to- I'm gonna try to be at that game.
We play. Let's see.
I'm going to try to go too.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go.
I've
But
never been.
I
what
look
about the
for
bowl game? Tennessee bowl game. Let's make our predictions now. Where does Tennessee end up?
I'm like everybody else. Everything I'm seeing is pointing towards Outback.
Yeah,
Versus Northwest.
Northwestern.
Yeah.
Rematch.
I agree.
They still have the Weed Eater Bowl with the Blue Bonnet Bowl.
No, Blue Bonnet Bowl is no longer there, and the Weed Eater Bowl is now the Independence
I
Bowl.
thought they were going to revive the Cherry Bowl. Remember the Cherry Bowl?
I'm going to keep mine a secret till next week. I think I might be here.
Yeah.
They'll probably be out.
They're saying it's between Outback, Belk Bowl in Charlotte,
Music City Bowl.
Music City Bowl, and Liberty Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Promoters are smart. They'll do one of those and then take on it.
Well, you look at obviously the best matchup for the Outback Bowl, I think, is Tennessee Northwestern or Tennessee Michigan. But
Yeah.
Michigan's going to end up in the Citrus, I think.
Yeah, I think LSU and Michigan is the Citrus Bowl from what I've heard. I think
That's the whole Les Miles Michigan
Yeah.
connection thing there. Yeah.
yeah, building the drama, I guess. Outback Bowl. I mean, it's it's better weather for the fans. It's maybe a little better name as far as bowls go than maybe the Belt Bowl. But have you seen some of the possible Belt Bowl matchups?
Oh, they're intriguing,
Yeah.
but to go there and play a number 14 team, and if Tennessee could get the win against that number 14 team, huge momentum burst. And when you go, Northwestern, as good as they are, they'll still only have 10 to 15,000 fans there, and you'll fill that stadium with Tennessee fans. Now, if it ended up somehow, if it somehow ends up Michigan dropping to the Outback Bowl, I think that becomes a much harder ticket for the game.
Oh yeah,
And not many bowl games sell out, true hard sellouts, but
that'll be
that
close.
becomes, because Michigan will bring 30 to 35 and Tennessee will bring 30 to 35 or more. Last year at Jacksonville, we had 48 or 49,000 at that game.
Speaking of Jacksonville State, UTC, go Mocs.
Go
Mocs this
Mocs, go
weekend.
Mocs.
Yeah, I was there last.
And where's that one? Is that at?
Jack State. The only loss they've had is just the Auburn thing,
Yeah.
which was their punter late in the game hadn't shanked one some 18 yards and leaving Auburn with 32 yards to go. It's likely they would be undefeated.
Now, is there any way that UTC can get a home game at all if they were to beat
There's some
Jacksonville?
kind of scenario.
Citadel?
I've heard sport talk about that. There is some scenario. It's number one thing is to win the game, which will be at
Now you realize who Doc Hollywood is, don't you? He is the 2005 winner of the Sport Talk 102.3 Turkey of the Year.
well deserved. I might add.
Yeah, I heard that mentioned. A little bit on the radio. I
Yeah.
definitely got questions. But,
Yeah.
It's a prestigious group there. I can't tell you who won it since then, but Don Welch, Judge Walter Williams, Saudi Daisy Fire Department, or Highway 58 Fire Department when they were bored sitting at the volunteer thing. They went out and started setting people's house on
Didn't the Saudi Daisy Police Department get it one
I
year?
think they did too for taking a swing at either Price or the other guy.
Or they arrested Tom Weathers.
Tom Weathers, yeah, or something like that.
Doc is definitely one of the top 5 earned. I mean, he earned it.
I definitely got questions.
And that's definitely for a January show when it starts slowing down a little bit.
I might just bring the old bird in one afternoon.
Yeah, bring the bird.
I like that.
All right. Well, we could sit here and talk all night about this.
Go Mocs.
But next week we'll be here. We should be here. We'll be talking bowl matchups.
Yep.
And actually, I don't know if I can be here or not. If you can be here, that'd be great because I'm not sure if I can.
Scheduled off right now. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll be in contact over text messages and I'll let you know for sure what we're doing. I may be out of town. I'm not sure yet. So anyway, but we'll definitely somebody will be here. We'll be going over bowl matchups. I'll try to call in if I'm not here. And we got we'll have a lot of football to talk about.
Yeah.
Yep. And
probably some coaching. Yes, probably a lot of coaching changes.
We should see some of the most of them being resolved, or at least resolved and created more.
Yeah.
So
lots of movement. Of movement.
So anyway,
I was going to say on that note, watch out for UTC's coach, and there might be some trickle down from this.
Yeah, and he could end up in one of those places where like a Memphis.
Yeah.
Definitely could see him going there.
There's potential the well being a little bit dry because that Huseman has been quarterback. So he's been all world.
But do you think that maybe Russ has created a culture there to where it can?
Yeah.
Momentum can be.
Yeah, it might be
It's got to be the right hire, but there can be.
I trust UTC's athletic director make a good hire.
Yeah.
But that might not even happen. But we'll probably know more next week.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Tired of carrying around cash in your pocket and tired of banks? Visit usmoneycard.com and get your prepaid debit card to use wherever MasterCard is accepted. It's a smart and safe alternative to carrying cash, and it's convenient. Even if you have a bill that requires a check, US Money Card has that too. Visit usmoneycard.com today and find out how to get your reloadable prepaid debit card. Log on, load up, and love your US Money Card. Visit usmoneycard.com for complete details.
We made it to Friday.